Okay, so today we'll take a quick look at how to create a very simple page preloader with some JavaScript and CSS. So the idea is to cover the whole page in some kind of overlay and display the spinner GIFs to let the user know that something is still happening. And when the page fully loads in the background, we will slowly fade away this overlay and remove it from the DOM. So let's take a look at the code, and the only important part here is really just this preloader markup. Everything else is just some demo content so that we actually have something to load here. So what's our algorithm? The browser will load our page line by line, and when we get to this script over here, we'll wait until the body is ready and then quickly insert this piece of HTML into the DOM to cover everything in an overlay, and then we load the rest of the HTML, and after all that's done we wait for all the images and external resources to load, and when everything is done we slowly fade away this preloader overlay, and then we remove it from the DOM so that everything is nice and clean. I'll just leave this for now, and let's just go and write some JavaScript now. So just the first thing, I'd like to use some events. I'd like to listen for events, something like when body is ready, then do this. And we could do this with some kind of loop, or actually not a loop that will block the execution of the page. We should actually use something like an interval and check every 10 seconds when the body is ready, and then we execute some function. But let's just create a new event, something like, you know, there's on-click event, on-page load event. So when this event happens, then all the scripts, all the functions that are listening to this event, they get executed. So let's create our own event just for the fun of it. So just create a new event. Okay, and I spell that. And I'll just create a new variable that will contain our new event object. So var, I'll call it body because it's a body event, and create a new event. So this is a constructor, and body, this is just the name of the event here, and this is just an event in the name. We don't know when it should be fired, when we should alert all the functions that are listening for these events to go and run. So now we need to do that. So we'll just write here, check if body is available. Okay, and we will use the interval, so I'll just store the interval ID, int ID, and let's use the function set interval, and in here I'll use the anonymous function, and here will be our code that will execute every 10 milliseconds, for example. And so here we will be checking when the body is ready. Now every 10 milliseconds we'll check if the body, actually document.body, if that is available, then do the following, and then here we'll dispatch the body event. So document dot dispatch event, and I'll just use the event object over here, this one. It's not a string, so we pass in the event object body, and I'll just close the semicolons here. And we also need to remove this interval. We need to stop it from executing these commands every 10 milliseconds. So that's why I actually stored this in a variable. We could have done this without it, but then it would run until we close the page. So for that we use the function clear interval, and here I'll just pass the int ID. Okay, and let's just check this quickly. So I'll just log the message when the body is ready. So document dot body, actually document dot add event listener, and I will listen for the body event, and when the body event is happens, we will run this function, and in here we'll just do console dot log and I'll just write body is ready. Okay, and let's quickly check this. I'll just pull up the console. So the console is here, and I just need to refresh the page. Yes, and we get the message body is ready. Okay, so that that works. Now let's just check it in the source. Okay, that's here. So we can just delete this. Now the next thing we need to do is insert this piece of HTML the moment we get the body tag available. So we can just insert it directly within our HTML or something like that, but let's do this the proper way and create a fragment, HTML fragment, and then insert that fragment inside the DOM. That way it's faster. It doesn't make really much difference in this case, but if you have a lot of stuff to insert into the DOM, it's better to create it separately, because it's much faster. Otherwise, every time we try to insert something, a parser needs to pass first, find the body, then go to the div, then image, and then insert the node at the end or something like that. Okay, so let's make a function that will create a new HTML fragment. HTML fragment. Okay, and we'll call it new fragment. Okay, and that will be a function, and just close the semicolons, and then in this function we'll pass the HTML we want to create. So I'll just put this variable name over here, and let's create a new variable called fragment, and it will create here we'll just create a blank an empty document fragment. So document dot create document fragment. Okay, and just close this. So now we have created a document fragment, and let's also create a temporary div element from which we'll import all the pieces into our fragment. Var, let's call it temp, and document dot create element, and we'll create a new div element, for example. It can be other things, but div is fine for now. So let's see, temp, so we'll change the inner HTML of this temporary element, and it will contain our HTML we have passed at the top of our function. And then while we have some nodes inside the inside our temporary element, so while temp dot first child, while we have a first child, then our fragment will take that child and append it to itself. So append child, and temp dot first child. Now every time we do append child from some other element, this child will actually be be removed from this previous element, and that's why this while loop actually works. So we've done that, and now we have our fragment, and we'll just return it. So return fragment. Okay. Now the next thing we need to do is actually create our preloader. So a preloader fragment, so our preloader, okay. And here we'll create a new HTML DOM fragment. So new fragment, and here we pass our HTML. And I'll just copy this over here, actually cut, and put this in the single quotes and make everything in one line, otherwise we'll have some problems. Okay, so we have created our new preloader fragment. I'll just mark it like this, and so now we need to insert this HTML when the body is ready. So let's make a comment here, insert preloader when body is ready. And the way we do this is obviously as from that example I gave earlier. So document dot add event listener, and we'll listen for the body event, and when the body is ready we'll do something like, well, we'll just insert our document fragment. So when the body is ready, we do the document dot insert before, and now we need to get some empty nodes to insert. Actually, we need to get the first node, that would be the text node here, and insert our HTML before it. So the way we do this is with the insert before function, and we give it what we want to insert, so it's preloader, and then we get then we give it the child node that we want to insert this HTML before. So we'll give it document dot body dot let's see, that child nodes. So child nodes, and that would give us an array of nodes. So we'll just get the first node on the 0th position, and this should work. Okay, and so let's try this out. We should get our preloader even though there's nothing here right now. Let's check this. So F5, and we got nothing, so let's check for the errors. Undefined is not a function on the line 14, fragment document. We're missing the E here, so let's just fix this very quickly. Create document fragment. Okay, and refresh. I'm guessing we have another error. Can read property 0 undefined. Yeah. It's not the node but nodes. Okay, so body child nodes, and let's refresh again. Another error. And here I forgot the body. Okay. And now we can see the preloader is inserted when the page loads. So let's just check if it's inserted at the top of the document, and there it is. Everything works fine. Now the next thing we need to do is check when the document is fully loaded, and then slowly remove our preloader markup. But first let's just create a function that will actually remove our preloader and then test it, and then we'll do the final step of automating everything. So we'll call this function remove preloader markup. Okay, and we'll call it var remove preloader. Okay, and that will be a function. We don't need to pass any arguments, and in here I will just get our preloader, so var preloader and document dot get element by ID, and we'll get the ID of our preloader is obviously preloader, and let's close this. So now we have our reference to this preloader, and we'll just in case we'll set the opacity of this preloader to 1, so preloader dot style and opacity, that will be 1. And now we need to animate this, so var animation ID. I will use again interval for that, so I'll just store that intervals ID, so animation ID, and we'll do the set interval and anonymous function again, and also I think it's enough to do this every, I don't know, 70 milliseconds. That should be fine to get a nice animation going. And so every 70 milliseconds we'll reduce opacity of our preloader for about 10%. So preloader dot opacity dot actually it's not, it's style, and that should be minus equal 0.1, so that's minus 10% every time we execute this. And then we'll also check if the, I'll just copy this, if the preloader style opacity is less than or equal to, I don't know, let's say 0.2, then we will first remove this from the document, so preloader dot parent node and remove child, and we'll remove the preloader. Okay, so now with this we have removed our preloader from the document, and we'll also clear the interval of the animation, so animation ID, and with that we have stopped our animation. Okay, so let's just see how this would work. I'll just open the console and reload this. Okay, so we have our preloader here, and let's go to the console, and now we'll run the remove preloader function, and you can see it fades away and we get an error. That's nice. Okay, interesting. Let's just see here. I guess it's again spelling mistakes, so let's just fix this. So remove child. Okay, refresh, and let's go over here. Now we have our preloader. I'll just open the console and let's remove the preloader, and there it goes. It disappeared. Okay, so now the only thing we need to do is wait until the page is fully loaded, and we can listen for the event when the page is fully loaded. So let's do this. When page is fully loaded, remove preloader. Okay, so document dot add event listener, and we will listen for the load event, so that will tell us when the page is fully loaded with everything, with images and all the external resources, and then we'll run the function remove the preloader. Okay, and let's see, refresh, and the preloader is not removed. Let's just see what's the well, sometimes document is not really reliable to fire those events, so I'll just use a window object here. So window, okay, and let's refresh the page, and we can see when the page is full loaded, the preloader is removed. So I'll just upload this to my server, and then we'll see it in action, because the page loads too fast here and we do not actually see the preloader in the works. So I'll just pause the video for now. Okay, so this is now on my server, and I'll just hit Control F5 to refresh the page, and you can see the preloader is working, the images are being loaded, and there it goes. When everything is loaded and ready, the preloader has disappeared. Okay, so that would be it. Thank you for watching.